Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and in this game, we're going to venture far beyond our comfort zone into the realm of the unknown, and this is what I do when I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Alright, let's go. At the bottom here, I'm playing as a training specialist. My opponent, Corner, is playing as a Fire Badger specialist. Corner is around 2100. We spar a lot. I think he has a favorable win rate against me, but sometimes I take a game or two off him. He's a very solid player, very tricky, likes to do a lot of flanks when there's an opportunity. Just the overall very solid player. I started off with tarantulas and 3 packs of crawlers, and I will be up against a bunch of fans as well as 2 squads of sledgehammers. Now for this one, I specifically upgraded the tarantula because of the training specialist perk. It is a bit dangerous because if my opponent went for something like the Void Eye or just Marksman, then it becomes a bit of an issue because the Tarantula actually take forever to kill units. But because he didn't, so this level 2 Tarantula is going to tank all the shots from the Sledgehammers, giving me the opportunity to take advantage of that and also get some experience. Alright, getting to round 2, we have our first set of cards. Assault Scorpion is being offered. This is potentially a direct counter to the Tarantula. My opponent decided to skip. For me, I think Laser Sight is also very good. The plan here with Tarantula start is to get into Phoenix on round 2 and to continue to bolster your chaff clear and chaff. Tarantula has a pretty good chaff clear in the late game, especially with range and high explosive. So I'm not too worried about that. My opponent, being a Fire Badger specialist, actually bought a Fire Badger and 2 Marksmen. That's very interesting. I think the Marksman was just in anticipation of the Phoenix, but also the Marksman can deal pretty good damage into the Tarantulas. The Fire Badger is also interesting because he realizes that his chaff clear is not as good as it should be with just the 2 sledgehammers. And he wants to make sure that there's absolutely no way that he's losing the chaff war. Alright, now there's a lot of bodies here. The level 2 Tarantula, though, is just taking a lot of punishment. Hopefully the Tarantula can take care of all his fans and the Phoenix will get a few more shots in. But I really don't think that I'll be able to win this round. Now this comp may look pretty bad for the Tarantula player, but just notice once we get range and HE, things will start to die a lot faster. WASP is being offered along with some chaff clear, a big tank, and some rhinos. Recently I've been playing a lot of Rhino Wasp. I just think Rhino is just the underused units that a lot of pro players don't put a lot of faith in. I've had great success with Rhinos, especially against 201 players. I post a few games in the next few days so you can see what I mean by that. It's just once you take armor and whirlwind, it just becomes such an unstoppable force. Your opponent will try to stop it with things like steel balls or melting point or scorpions, right? But they always end up overspending, allowing you to pivot into something like the wasps or something else. And worst comes worst, you can always hit the boom button on the rhinos and it will just take out half of your opponent's army. So I'm having a lot of fun playing Rhino. Alright, took the wasps, and of course there are wasps down in the corner. My opponent actually got the wasp drop as well as purchasing an additional wasp. And he's also putting a Fire Badger in the corner. So Fire Badger in the corner can be extremely annoying. Right now he's tying up 300 supplies of units. Alright, on the front line here, I think I'm doing okay. I think the level 2 Tarantulas are really taking in the punishment, clearing up pretty much everything on the ground. And because I still have almost 2 full squads of wasps left over, I think this should be pretty good. The storms are a smart choice. Storm recently also got a upgrade because the high explosive armor, high explosive anti-tank shells are now only 100 supplies. So those things hit really hard. With that technology, you can potentially one-shot a equal level tarantula with the Stormcaller. So that's really good technology. Improved War Factory. The reason I took the Improved War Factory is because Improved Samurai is offered, and I took it as a hedge in case my opponent decides to go with the Improved War Factory. And I think that's the same line of thought for my opponent, because if you don't take it, you're going to have a bit of a hard time later on defending against it, right? Of course, you can defend it using melters, and it's the cheaper way to go. But in case you're unable, or in case the board is just not good, then you might need to consider putting down a War Factory of your own. We'll see, though. I like to keep my options open. It only cost me the 50 that I would have otherwise get if I chose to skip. So it's not a big deal. All right. So here's the first jump. And this is a very aggressive play. Triple wasp with jump drive, flanking into the corner. I was pretty lucky that I put a missile here because I wanted to get onto the fire badger as quickly as possible. And I just didn't want to rely on the wasp to clear these crawlers. And because of that, I got pretty lucky, so the wasp will start shooting at his wasps. I don't think this is enough. I think he will eventually get tower, but it is something. But now that I know he's jumping these over here, I can prepare for the next turn. Alright, oil goes down. Oil is there to do two things. One is to slow my tarantula down, and two is for these fire badgers to light him up. Alright, the wasps are getting in on his. Not able to kill it, unfortunately, but was able to substantially reduce their wasp count. And also some of them are chasing after the crawlers, giving the phoenixes a few more shots. Alright, looking at the front line here. Things are looking okay, right? They're not terrible. We still have crawlers running in. They're under debuff, which is unfortunate, but there isn't a lot of chaff clear left for my opponent. So hopefully I can get that tower. And there it is. And then the Phoenix can start working on his sledgehammers. What I really need a Phoenix to do is to shoot these two marksmen. Oh, that is so unfortunate. That each one of them took like a single shot. So it's now up to the wasp to finish the job. But they will get the job done. All right. Nano repair is offered. Mobile beacon is also pretty cool. I took the nano repair kit. One of the greatest units for flank defense is the Wraith. And with his jump drive wasp like this, I was thinking if I put a Wraith somewhere down the corner, I would be able to hold off all his shenanigans. So all I need is a ranged Wraith here and a ranged Wraith here, like almost leveled at this line here. So that is going to pretty much cover this entire area, right? So here's a Wraith, recruited at level 2 and also leveling up to level 3. I'm putting it directly in front because what if my opponent didn't jump, right? I want my wasp to survive a little bit longer. Okay, my opponent decided to move his wasp up and now mobile beaconing straight to the tower. This is a bit of a problem because I don't really have anything up front. And also for this turn, I just don't have a lot of money, right? Alright, my opponent got the Mustangs. The good thing is that I didn't end up killing these crawlers, which means my crawler will move forward, and that will give my Wraith some time to kill some wasps. Hopefully I can kill enough of them so that they'll get my tower, and there's the tower. The whole army is just collapsing on me. Unfortunately, these wasps were just moving a little too fast with jump drive. 21 meters per second. Very speedy units. Okay, a lot of units still left over, and then we got 2 level 3 marksmen, which should do just fine into a single level 3 wraith with nano. But the wraith is probably going to take down a few mustangs with it. Maybe some wasps too. Not too bad. Okay, so now we know the jump drive is in play, and we have just suffered last round because of the jump drive, so we need to make sure that we're defended on all angles. Farseer is a good defensive unit. My opponent is going with the Raiden. Raiden is pretty good into Wraith. Now, whenever you notice that your opponent is being very sneaky, don't cheap out on this tower upgrades. It will save you the turn. So both tower gets a level 1 upgrade, because right now, if you're looking at my side of the board, where are the holes going to be, right? First of all, there's a hole right here with the wasp going straight down. There's a hole right here with the wasp going down and then to the left. Of course, there's nothing defending this corner here, right? This side is not adequately defended. I wasn't sure if my opponent's going to try to go with this side, considering there was no unit here whatsoever. This tarantula will actually turn, which is a good news for me. If my opponent put the crawlers a little bit down here, this tarantula would have walked away. And because it's turning, I should be able to defend it pretty well. And also, he's teleporting in. He does not have quick teleport, so it does take his full duration. But I think with a combination of 2 crawlers and a bunch of fire badgers and just some wasps, I think it should be okay, right? Because the fire badger is just going to take a long time to kill these crawlers. It's not too bad. I mean, sure, there's still some wasps left over, but now they're going to all chase the tarantula. And at the front, yes, the Raiden is super scary, and I don't think I can kill it. But I have level 3 wasp that's just folding onto this marksman. We're going to get tower. We still got a big wraith, and we have a few phoenixes left over. So all in all, I think that was a good exchange. That flank wasn't nearly as powerful as the previous one. And here's where you see the power of a level 2 tower is actually holding firm. Can I kill the Raiden? Not quite. So it's still a little tricky here, but we'll see. All right, I think my opponent's slowly running out of steam. So we have to be very careful, and it's never bad to be overly prepared if your opponent is running a lot of these speedy units. And speaking of speedy, it's taking another speed add-on, increasing the movement speed by 3 for all these units. On all these wasps are moving at a whopping 24 meters a second. Rates being added in here. I still didn't take range because my opponent didn't take range with the wasps. I didn't want to waste the money. And here's the improved war factory. So earlier I mentioned, is it a time for an improved war factory or a melter? I think right now a melter would have been better because he's also running Raiden, where the melter could be good against. Alright, he's pushing in on this angle. So the goal here is for the war factory to draw aggro from most of my units, and then the wasp can do the killing. I'm surprised he didn't get the range upgrade for the wasps. I think he's probably running out of money. These guys are pretty expensive, 1,000 credits a pop. Taking HG for extra chapter. Not that it will help with the improved war factory. I think it just gets one-shotted. But that's okay though. These Wraith are doing well. I actually sold my high-level Wraith here because I wasn't expecting my opponent to put things here anymore. I mean, he could, but I already have level 4 wasps, so they can clear these triple wasps pretty quickly. Wanted to use the money to level up the tarantulas. Once they're at level, they're pretty difficult to kill, and they can actually clear out sledgies or mustangs pretty quickly. Alright, wasps are coming in. Getting onto the tower. Level 2 tower paying off. Yep. Was able to get it eventually, but not enough units to deal damage to this big wraith. Okay, we've got a few wasps left over. And phoenixes. So the phoenixes are key. I'm hoping to get to the tower. And then the phoenix can bring down this raid, and that will be sweet. Alright, well, 2 more shots. And there it is. Okay, and now there's left is this war factory. And I think these level 2 phoenixes should do just fine. Especially with tower debuff. Alright. Okay, what do we get? Typhoon, because we know there's 3 packs of wasps roaming around. But I'm not sure if I'm keeping a Typhoon. Maybe. I'm putting a Typhoon in that corner where my high-level Wraith used to be, in case he decides to jump his wasp all the way back here once again. Or, if he decides to put his wasp over here and mobile beacon it this way. I know I need to have an answer against this War Factory. So in this case, it's going to be the Melter. The question is where you want to put the Melter. The Phoenixes themselves this round actually do decent damage. My opponent took level 6 Arclight, and now with Elite Marksman. So these guys actually hitting a tremendous amount of damage at 5,000 damage per second. I think they're actually out DPS in the level 4 Marksman, so they're kind of scary. And they're a pretty good counter into these high-level Tarantulas. But the problem is, all my carry units, or most of my carry units, are in the air. So even if they can kill these Tarantulas, where their only job is to clear out this chaff. Once the chaff is done, they're just big tanks, right? There's no other role for them to play. Okay, my opponent sold the War Factory. I added oil here in case the War Factory is going to be on this side, and I put the Melter on the other side. It's very common with a War Factory player just to sell and put it on the other side. So I want to make sure that I guard both sides of the problem. My opponent also added oil. He might be able to ignite it. Yeah, I think he would definitely light it up because of the tarantula walking into the oil. And that just means no more chaff on the side. But that's okay though. Level 3 tarantula and this one with the nano. They should be tanking for days. And here comes the wasps. Alright, would I be able to get a pretty good tower? That is the question. The Wraith are still MVP. Just clearing up all these wasps before they die. Fantastic unit. Alright, now we have Phoenixes onto a level 3 Raiden. I think it'll be fine. We'll get a few more shots, and there it goes. Alright. So as the round goes on, you start to realize these high tempo units like the Wasp are starting to become a bit of a liability. Because he already took the jump drive, so if he wants to spec it into a damage dealer, you have to decide whether he wants to spend 500 on range. I mean, it could be good, especially against Phoenixes, but I already had Wraith to deal with his Wasps. And also there's level 4 Typhoon holding down the fort. Ion is being offered. I think Ion is good into his position. Hopefully we'll get at least one of these arc lights, but if we get lucky, we get some Raidens as well. Alright, we're putting down more Wraiths. Taking range, because I expect my opponent to take range on the Wasps. Wasp clear is probably my biggest weakness at this moment. Once my Wraiths are dead, I don't have anything aside from this Typhoon. And my opponent is smart enough not to put these Wasps anywhere near this Typhoon. In fact, he actually sold one of them, knowing that refusing to upgrading them and instead opting for these Mustangs. I don't know if Mustangs are a good choice because the tarantulas kill Mustangs very efficiently. Alright, Ions coming down, getting the first Raiden. Tarantulas doing tarantula things. Not able to kill this pack of Mustang, which is kind of a bummer. But on the other side though, these tarantulas are clearing up just fine, and now these wasps are running into these level 4 typhoons. Extra melting point in case the war factory goes back. And now the melting point is just having a great time shooting at these Raidens. And down it goes. And I should have enough units, especially with the melting point, to close this game up. And that's it. So, what did I learn from this game? Well, whenever your opponents are trying really hard to out-tempo you with his flanks, Wraith is a godsend. So, when you have a flank problem, just put down a Wraith. You don't even need to take range. Sometimes you just need to take degen. And now all of these flanks are doing what? 20% reduced attack, 40% reduced movement, and takes 30% additional damage. And that's just a huge, huge debuff. And there's no way that your opponent is going to put down a boat in the flank just for photon. It's very tricky too in terms of positioning. So having a Wraith in the corner just shuts everything down. And also make sure when your opponent are going aggro like that, just level up your towers. It's 100 on both sides, and you saw how effective that was in delaying and sometimes just outright rejecting the tower control. And then once you get everything settled, just turn your attention back into the front line. Because your opponent is spending so much time in the flanks that are being defended, he is probably weaker on the front line. So at the end of the day, he either goes really hard onto the flanks or he pivots back into the front line, in which case you should have an advantage. All right, well, that's it for this one. And if you want to see another video, here's one for you. And I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.